All right. We are back. Man, it's been an exciting year. So many things that are happening. And I'm glad to be able to be here with you this evening to bring to you, in my opinion, the foremost, most expert in taxes in the United States of America, Mr. Dan Pilla. We are here on the Pilla Tax Academy show with none other than Dan Pilla himself. There's an amazing event that's coming up, the Tax Defense Conference, and we want to give you some firsthand knowledge, especially if you are a tax professional. Now, if you are a taxpayer and you have an accountant, you need to get this information to your accountant or tax professional ASAP. And then maybe that would even go for people that are doing their own taxes. How do they defend themselves and make sure that they've got their rights protected? Dan, I'd love to be able to hear you talk a little bit about this conference, how long you've been doing it, a little bit about your background. Let's go in. Dan Pilla.
Yeah, well, first of all, Jay, it's good to see you again, man. It's been a while. It's been too long.
I
So,
know.
so yeah, let me talk to the viewers about the Taxpayers Defense Conference. First of all, a little bit of background about myself. I'm a tax litigation specialist. I work with individuals and small businesses, specifically in the area of taxpayers' rights issues, problems resolution, and IRS abuse prevention and cure. I've been in this business, Jay, for over 42 years. I've seen every kind of tax problem you can imagine. I've seen a few that you can't imagine. And I've represented hundreds of small businesses across the country in disputes with the IRS and thousands of individuals in their disputes with the IRS. So I've got a great deal of experience in defending people from the Internal Revenue Service. We have an organization called the Taxpayers Defense Institute, Taxpayers Tax Freedom Institute. This is an organization of tax professionals, Jay. These are specific tax pros, attorneys, accountants, and enrolled agents who, like myself, are particularly engaged in the business of representing individuals and small businesses in front of the IRS. For the last 26 years, we have been conducting the premier taxpayers' rights seminar in the United States. When I say premier, here's what I mean by that. Our focus every single year, year after year, is not on tax preparation. There are seminars all over the country, Jay, that give tax pros, accountants, and so on what they need to know about changes in the law as far as tax preparation is concerned. That's not what this seminar is all about. This seminar is about representing people in front of the IRS. So we train attorneys, accountants, and enrolled agents, IRS enrolled agents, in exactly how to represent taxpayers before the IRS, how to preserve their rights, how to make sure that the IRS doesn't run them over in the process, how to make sure that their clients don't pay a penny more in taxes than they owe. So if you're a tax professional and you're dealing with tax protesters in a representative environment, whether it's audit, appeals, or tax court, you absolutely have to come to this seminar. This is by far and away the best seminar in the United States for people representing taxpayers in front of the IRS. That's what this is all about.
This is going to be very important for people to be able to get this knowledge hands on. We actually did the full production on this event last year in Las Vegas. I know this year it will be in Nashville, Tennessee, right outside of Nashville there in Franklin. And I know it's happening on November the 8th and the 9th. And so, Dan, why is it so important about being at this event? If I'm sitting there, I'm a tax professional, and I'm thinking, you know what? I've been doing this for so many years. I've been handling tax preparation. I've got maybe hundreds of clients. Why is it important for somebody like that to be at this event, Dan?
All right, well, let's start with the basics, Jay. First of all, the world of tax preparation and the world of tax litigation are two completely different worlds, two completely different realms. And there are all kinds of CPAs and enrolled agents out there, attorneys too, that spend a great deal of time in the tax preparation world. They fill out the forms, they do the accounting, they do the bookkeeping, they do the tax planning, advising on how to structure your business and where to spend money and where not to spend money. And all that stuff is a very valuable asset, Jay, that every small business needs. But that's different than what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here is tax litigation. When the IRS sends that notice to your client and says you're under audit, or your client owes money to the IRS that they can't pay, and now the IRS is in their face for 30, 50, 80,000, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Those two worlds are completely different. Now, what happens with the Taxpayers Defense Conference is this is a cutting edge seminar that every single year focuses on what the IRS is doing as far as its enforcement initiatives are concerned right now. I write the curriculum for this seminar, Jay. Every single year, the curriculum is fresh and new, and it's based on what's going on in the IRS right now. Now, you asked the question, why should a CPA who's been in this business all these years be involved in this seminar? Right now, we know, Jay, that the Internal Revenue Service is launching an attack on small businesses. How do we know that? Because the Treasury Department has made it perfectly clear that that's exactly what they're going to do. And the word attack is their word, not mine. There was a Treasury assistant Treasury Secretary for Tax Policy that wrote an article 2 weeks ago that appeared on the Treasury website, and it was entitled "The Need for a Consolidated Attack on Small Businesses." Jay, that's their title, not mine. All right, they are coming after small businesses. Now, I wrote a rebuttal to that article, Jay, that was published on National Review. So I encourage all your listeners to go to nationalreview.com and type my name, Dan Pilla, in the National Review search box. And that article, along with all the other articles that National Review has published that I've written, that article will come up on the IRS's attack on small businesses. You need to read that article. And if you think this is hyperbole on my part, you're making a big mistake, because remember, the word attack, Jay, is their word, not mine. It's not hyperbolic. The fact of the matter is that they're bringing small businesses into their gun sites. And I'll tell you why, Jay. And this is about a 3-year-old
Yeah, like
memorandum.
that's the big question. Why? Because small business is what generates the most tax base.
Yeah, there's no question about it. About 3 years ago, the Treasury Department issued a policy study, and I wrote about this a great deal as well. And the policy study, Jay, takes the position that about half the tax gap, closer to 60% of the tax gap, is attributable to specifically to small businesses. And we're talking about, now again, these are their words, Jay, not mine. We're talking about sole proprietorships, subchapter S corporations, and partnerships. Those three forms of small businesses, which, by the way, are the vast majority of the entities that operate small businesses in the United States, sole proprietorships, subchapter S, and partnerships. I mean, that sums it all up right there. The IRS takes the position that these organizations, these taxpayers, are cheating across the board, not by inflating deductions, Jay, but rather by hiding income. They are convinced that small businesses cheat across the board by hiding their income. And so the enforcement initiative that we're talking about right now, and again, that sounds like an ominous word. It's not my word, Jay. This is their phrase, not mine. The enforcement initiative will be targeted at small businesses, specifically in the area of income audits, with the precise purpose to ferret out the unreported income that the IRS is convinced that all small businesses are hiding. So this is why it's so critical for tax professionals that are dealing with small businesses to be at this seminar. Jay, I am going to focus very specifically on exactly how the IRS attacks a small business tax return, precisely how they run these so-called income audits, exactly how the IRS drums up phantom income against a business, and most importantly of all, Jay, how to defend it. We're going to be going through all of that stuff at this conference.
Yeah, that's a big question. You're gonna get from a lot of folks. And I remember last year, people were sitting there like, man, everybody was blown away that was there. Now this year, we're coming. I was going to say it's not post COVID yet. We're still in this COVID era. But in 2020, we got PPP loans. We got all kind of things dealing with people that got income from the unemployment. There's all kind of things. What would you have to say about those type of things, Dan?
Yeah, well, yeah, and then there's a perfect example, Jay, of why you got to stay as a tax professional that's involved in representation of taxpayers. Why you need to stay on this top of this stuff, and that's the key reason why the Taxpayer Defense Institute, Tax Freedom Institute, is so critical. This is where we live, Jay. We don't live in the area of preparing forms. All right, we don't live in the area of preparing tax returns. That's an essential function. It's necessary. There's no question that the accountants and the enrolled agents that do this work do an essential, indispensable job. That's undeniable. But what I'm talking about is the litigation area. And with the PPP loans, we know that the Internal Revenue Service is going to be potentially targeting PPP loan recipients as to how the money was used, because there's statutory restrictions on how the money can be used. We also know that there's a number of other benefit programs for small businesses that have come down the pike over the last 6 or 8 months. The restaurant revitalization program, and a number of other grants, the employee retention credit. These are all areas, Jay, that are susceptible to high incidence of audits. And for business audits in particular, of course. And so this is why it's so necessary for tax pros, attorneys, accountants, and enrolled agents to understand how this process works. What we teach at this seminar is exactly how to use the process of challenge and appeal within the Internal Revenue Service in audit and collection cases. And Jay, as I said, this is an area that most tax pros just don't know about.
Dan, we got the Pilla Tax Academy where we got this loaded with a ton of information for the everyday taxpayer, for the business owner, and for the tax professionals. So we're gearing this particular segment tonight for the tax professionals, but everyone listening, go over to pillataxacademy.com, because you can see everything about taxes and how to protect yourself, how to take advantage of the incredible things that are there in the tax code, but it's buried. Now, with me saying that, Dan, how many pages is in the tax code, and what's happened like in the last 20 years with those pages?
Okay, well, we don't even count pages anymore, Jay, because they don't publish the stuff in books like they did in the old days. When I first started in this business, you actually had a library full of books, and there was a shelf on your library that was 35 feet long to have to store the Internal Revenue Code. And now of course, it's all on computer. But the National Taxpayer Advocate tells us that the tax code has now exceeded 4 million words in length. More, Jay, wrap your head around that. More than 4 million words in the Internal Revenue Code. And that's just the code, Jay. The regulations are probably 3 to 4 times bigger than that. And God only knows how many pages there are in the guidance material, like the revenue rulings and the revenue procedures and the court cases that come out by the hundreds and hundreds of, every single year. So this is a massive area of law. There just is no question about that. Now, to make matters worse, the National Taxpayer Advocate reports that the Internal Revenue Code was changed more than, listen to this now, changed more than 5,900 times just since 2001 alone. And I'll tell you, that doesn't even include all the changes that occurred in the last 18 months. And there have been hundreds more that have occurred in the last 18 months, and dozens more that are on the drawing board right now. So this tax law is always subject to change, Jay. And that's one of the reasons why small businesses get behind the 8 ball with the IRS the way they do. The IRS takes the position that they're cheating. The fact of the matter is, to the extent that small businesses underpay their taxes, it's almost never because of cheating. I know there's some cheating out there, Jay. We all know that there's some tax cheats out there. That's undeniable. I'm not naive. But to say that half the people are cheating on their taxes by hiding their income is not only wrong, it's fallacious, because the fact of the matter is the overwhelming majority of problems with the IRS are created not by cheating, but by misunderstanding. And in fact, we can go back 30 years to the early 1990s. Former IRS Commissioner Shirley Peterson was a commissioner in between about 90 and 92 or 93, just about the time President Clinton took office. So that would have been 90, right in that era there. She made the statement that the vast majority of what we call non-compliance with the tax laws is not non-compliance at all. This is a quote now. She says the vast majority of what we call non-compliance is not non-compliance at all. It's misunderstanding. And it's misunderstanding, Jay. Now, this is me talking, not her. It's misunderstanding because the tax code is massive and it's constantly subject to change. And small businesses, more than anybody else, get victimized by that. I'll give you an example. Last year, the IRS issued about 37 million penalties against individuals and businesses. Now, there's about 152 million individual income tax returns filed, Jay. 37 million penalties against individuals and businesses. 2/3 of all those penalties are assessed against businesses. Now, think about that. Businesses make up about, roughly 20% of the return filers. They're getting 65, 66% of all the penalties. Why is that? because small businesses disproportionately face the compliance burdens in terms of employees, in terms of depreciation and automobile expenses and the home office and the hobby loss rules and all these very complicated rules that individuals don't have to worry about, but which blindside businesses because they don't even know the rules exist, never mind how to comply with them. This is what the problem is, Jay. And this is why this seminar, again, is so important for tax professionals, because this is the areas that we live in. This is where we're going to, for example, one of the sessions in the course this year is going to be how the IRS attacks the deductions claimed on a tax return. Now, I said earlier that they claim that most people are cheating on their taxes by hiding income. That's true. But the IRS also has specific enforcement initiatives. Now, again, that's their word, not mine. Specific enforcement initiatives targeted at the deductions claimed on the tax return. So I've identified 6 of them, Jay, from the IRS literature. 6 specific enforcement initiatives in the areas of business tax deductions. And I'm going to talk about every single one of them at this seminar and show you, the tax pro, exactly how the IRS is going to try to tee that up for your client.
So people can get to this event. Watch this. You can get there live. So you can go sit down in Nashville, Tennessee at the beautiful Embassy Suites, or you can get it virtually. You don't even have to leave your home or your office. And all you got to do is go get registered. And it's a tax write-off. This is what's so crazy about this, is that people can get educated and then also get a tax benefit from getting educated, which is going to provide more value to their people, to their clients. And so I know that I have my accountant working directly with Dan Pilla. So I'm telling you how important this is. So my accountant works with Dan Pilla because I want to make sure that she knows all that she needs to know in order to protect my best interests, especially as a small business owner. So we've got to be able to get control through the power of knowledge. And this is what Dan Pill is bringing to the table, is the power of knowledge. And so we're going to continue to keep talking to you. We're going to, we were doing a lot of shows early on in the year. Now we're coming back to be able to do a ton more shows to get you all kind of free information. But get over to Pilla Tax Academy.com. Get yourself registered for the free information that's there. Go over to taxdefenselive.com. We've also got a link to it on PillaTaxAcademy.com, and you can get registered for the event. This is going to be powerful. I know there's a lot of seats that have already been taken, so grab your seat. And then what all comes with this? This is an experience. Not only is it an education, so people are coming in. I know there's people with your institute that's been there with you for a while. They're coming in. Some folks coming on Sunday, but the event will be on Monday and Tuesday. What are the hours and what is it going to look like?
Yeah, the hours, Jay, is we'll start registration about 8:30 on Monday morning. The seminar itself kicks off at 9 o'clock. We'll go from 9 to 5 on both Monday and Tuesday. Lunch is provided with your registration. Because we're at the Embassy Suites, we have hospitality rooms there on Monday night and Tuesday night, so folks can fellowship. I'll tell you what, Jay, one of the most valuable aspects of this seminar, and every single one of our attendees tells me the same thing every single year. Now, remember, I've been doing this for 26 years. I think it's 26. We started our first one in 1993, I believe it was. Wow. We've been doing it every single year since then, including COVID 2020. We were out in Las Vegas. We were the first conference that they allowed to come back into Nevada. And you remember that, Jay, all the to get that done. If it wasn't for Gene, we wouldn't have been out there. But the thing is this, the attendees tell me this every year. The fellowship and the connections that occur with our members that have been with me for some cases 20, 25 years, in some cases friends of mine that I've known in this business for 30 and 40 years. The fellowship and the association with these members is invaluable, Jay. They all tell me the same thing. The ability to network with an attorney, for example, who's been doing this work for 30 years, or a CPA who's been doing it for 20 years, or enrolled agents that have been in this business for 20 and 25 years. This is the kind of talent that we have at this seminar. I've been doing this work for 40 plus years. All right. And so this is the kind of talent we have at the seminar. And one of the advantages that you get with this thing that you just simply don't get anyplace else is this fellowship and this networking with people who have the knowledge and experience, Jay, and want to share it. You know, it's one thing to be networking with people who have experience and knowledge, but if they don't want to share it with you, what's the point? The people that come to this seminar not only have the knowledge and experience, they want to share it, and they're happy to share it. I'll tell you something else that happens at this seminar that doesn't happen at any other seminar. We have brainstorming sessions, Jay, as a group, where we'll have an entire session of nothing but questions and challenges. And I'll have myself and a panel of folks with me that have 20, 25 years of experience. And we'll have an open mic, and somebody will step up to the mic and say, okay, team, here's the challenge case that I have. Here are the facts. What should I be thinking about? What should I do? And we start bouncing those ideas around, Jay.
I saw that last year, Dan. Like they were coming, and it wasn't scripted. So people were walking up and just off the cuff saying, "This is my challenge," and I watched you and your other professionals handle it like it wasn't nothing. Just bam, no problem.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what one person doesn't know, the other one does. And what one person hasn't seen, the other one has. And we bring that experience to bear. And I'm telling you what, you bring your toughest case to this defense conference, and I guarantee you're going to go home with a solution.
That's awesome, man. Well, this has been a great show. We want to keep this crisp, right to the point. We want everyone to be able to share this, share it. Everyone that's watching this, we've got this streaming on the Facebook page. So if you go over to facebook.com/Pilla Tax Academy, there is an Instagram with daily posts. So if you go to instagram.com/Pilla Tax Academy, if you get over to youtube.com/Pilla Tax Academy, you've got access to be able to get this information all the time. But you got to share it. And here's what I want to challenge everyone. Everyone here knows an accountant, a CPA, some type of tax professional. I'm going to challenge you to share this with at least one of them or two to let them see and say, hey, tell me what you think. And then I want to end, Dan, with your story of how you got in this game in the first place, 40 plus years. This story always trips me out. At 18 years of age, what happened to you? We'll end with that story.
Yeah, well, my father got in trouble with the IRS. He got behind on his employees withholding taxes. Jay, a small business owner. My dad was a small business owner my entire life. He never had a wage job that I ever knew of. I suppose he did when he was 15. But as a small business owner in the early 1970s, he got behind on his employees withholding taxes. In 1974, the IRS padlocked his doors, his shop doors. He had a printing shop in St. Paul, our hometown. They auctioned his equipment off for just a couple of cents on the dollar. And then in 1978, 79, they turned their attention to our family home and they tried to seize and sell it for the back tax liability. I was just a kid, Jay. I remember coming home to my mother's house at the time where I was living, of course, and she's sitting at the kitchen table and she handed me this envelope from the IRS and she said, hey, what do you make of this? I got this envelope here. I got this letter. What's going on? So I read the letter and I said, it looks like they're going to try to seize the house. And she said, what do we do? Of course, I had no idea what to do, but what I did, Jay, is I went over to the local law school library. I started fumbling around in the library in the Internal Revenue Code. The librarian pointed me the way because I didn't even know what I was looking for. But I'm fumbling around in the tax code.
You didn't get on Google? You didn't get on Google?
No Google, Jay. It was old fashioned. They had books this thick on the shelf. You had to actually read the books. Couldn't just Google. Taking my mother's house. What do I do? That was not an option. So I literally stumbled onto an area of the Internal Revenue Code that deals with taxpayers' rights, limits the power of the IRS. And I start reading in this section of the code. And I didn't get 6 pages into this particular section of the code, Jay, and I discovered that the IRS was proceeding illegally to seize my mother's house. And so I did what any 18-year-old kid would do under the circumstances. I sued the IRS. I pasted together a little Mickey Mouse lawsuit and I sued the IRS. And before too long, I found myself in a courtroom in Minneapolis in front of a federal judge. The IRS flew an attorney in from the Department of Justice in Washington to have my case thrown out. And so here we are in front of this federal judge. And I stood up and I said, Judge, the law says this, and they're trying to do something different, and they shouldn't be allowed to get away with it. And I sat down, and it was about that simple. My argument was about that long and about that simple. Because what else do you say? I didn't know. So anyway, the DOJ attorney, Department of Justice attorney, gets up and he starts blathering things about court cases this and statutes that, and he was going on and on with this stuff, and I had no idea what the guy was talking about, and I'm not sure he did either. But I know I didn't know what he was talking about. And when he got finished, Jay, the judge looked at him and pointed at me. And he said, he's right. And he slammed the gavel. And I thought, well, this is easy. You know, I stopped the IRS from taking that house, Jay, and I've been stopping them ever since. So that's the story.
Can you guys imagine everyone watching this being 18 years of age and you sue the IRS because you know you're right? And guess what? If we don't know our rights, we don't have any. That's why Dan Pilla is so important, especially with what's happened in the last 2 years. We cannot put our head in the sand, because if they did, would you say 30, how many million penalties were assessed, Dan?
37 million penalties total, Jay. About 2/3 are assessed against businesses.
Okay. Are you predicting that's going to go up? Because
there's no question about it. Because one of the things that is happening here with this funding bill that's moving through Congress is they want to give the IRS another $80 billion for its budget, Jay. That will just about double the IRS's budget. And that budget will grow from just about 12 billion to just about 20 billion. And then it'll be 20 billion a year, every year for the next 10 years. And don't you make the mistake of believing that they're not going to hire agents to go after small businesses that the agency believes at the highest level are cheating across the board on their taxes. They're coming after small businesses, Jay. Remember, the word attack is their word, not mine.
And we got to do something about this. We got to do something about this. And that means we got to be proactive and not just be reactive. And that's what PillaTaxAcademy.com is about. I want everyone to really take this serious. If you're a tax pro, I want you to take it serious. You have 100% money back guarantee on this conference. You have nothing to lose, everything to gain. Just go over to TaxDefenseLive.com or PillaTaxAcademy.com. Get the information, get plugged in, and invest in getting to become the best, especially when you get plugged into this entire nationwide network of the highest level tax pros, which you should be one of them joining this as well. Dan, we appreciate your time. It's been a fabulous show. Share this with at least one other tax pro. Any closing words, Dan?
Hey, there's no such thing as a hopeless tax case. I don't care what kind of a problem you have, what kind of a problem your client has, there's a way to fix it. And as I said, you bring your most difficult case to the Taxpayers Defense Conference and you will go home with a solution. I guarantee it.
Beautiful. Hey, until the next time, we will be back next week. We're going to be here weekly, guys. We're going to be ramping up all the way up into this conference, giving you all kind of great information about all things taxes. Dan, thank you so much. Everyone have a great and a blessed evening. We'll be talking to you soon. Bye-bye.
Good night, Jay. Good night, everybody.